Welcome back to the Celtics Nation Rise podcast, episode 54 fan series. I'm your host, Griffin Aldrich. Alongside me is my co host, Seamus Zarlingo, and we have a very special guest on today. We have Cody Pimentel joining the podcast. Welcome, Cody. It's
Thank
great to
you.
have
Thank
you
you.
on.
Great
You're
to
a
be here.
big Celtics fan. So,
Yep.
I gotta ask the question because we always start this with it. Where did your Celtics fandom begin?
Well, growing up, I never really had anyone that was a Celtics fan. My dad, we grew up watching the Patriots games. My friends were Knicks fans. So growing up in Massachusetts, started watching Celtics, did some research on the history and the tradition, and that's what really got me into it, man. Just learning what it was to like wear that Celtics green and the Ubuntu, and then fast forward a few years later, just rooting for Isaiah Thomas. That's what really got me into it. I'm a little guy, so I root for the little guys. You know what I mean? IT Marcus Smart just beating the odds and making the Eastern Conference Finals every year, and just pretty much that.
Well, that's incredible. We hear a lot of stories on here about the IT days and
Mhm.
those great times in Boston. But Seamus, what about you?
Well, throughout all that history, Cody, we see a lot of moments within Celtics history, especially recently. And you mentioned the Isaiah Thomas Celtics. I mean, I gotta say, I'm a fan of the little guys as well. I'm a fan of the underdogs, the guys who are not supposed to win yet do every single time. I know we're not supposed to like Jalen Brunson around here, but he's another one of those cast of characters in NBA
Yeah.
history.
Yep.
However, looking at the entirety of Celtics history and your time watching the Celtics, what is your favorite Celtics memory, whether a game or a moment? What is your favorite Celtics memory?
My favorite Celtics memory was probably that game Isaiah Thomas scored like what was it, 53 in the playoffs or something. And what sucks is I had a ticket to go to that game, and I didn't end up going because I had one ticket and it was on Easter, and I was like, nah, I can't go. And I regret it every day. I wish I went to that game.
I wouldn't say you would regret it though, because you got time with the fam.
I
But
did. I
but
did, but
yeah, that's definitely a fun one. I agree. I'm like every single time I see something with Celtics, I'm like, dang it, I should have went. I'm like, why? But I totally get that. But I'm gonna ask you a question too. You're very into the Celtics community. You're always out there. I see you with the caveman all the time. So
yep.
what is your favorite memory off court, kind of in the Celtics community? Where is your favorite memory
Oh
upon
man,
that?
I got so many, man. I'm
You
like you said,
share them all. We're all
I'm
ears.
always out there. This past year, man, has been really fun. I actually got to grow. I first want to shout out GRD for hosting his watch parties because that's where I was able to meet most of these fans. And then past year I got really close with Caveman, and we were able to just build a good friendship. We got to go to Brooklyn to go do a game, and it's wild walking around with Caveman, dude. It's like walking around with a celebrity. Well, you never know what you get into, and then going to all these Jalen Brown pop-ups, and we actually have something special coming up July 6th. If you guys are going to Canby Lake Park, we're presenting something for Jalen Brown and 741, so keep posted for that.
I I've been in on the whole thing with Caveman's been keeping me up to date with that. So I'll have to be there for that.
Yes,
But
sir.
do you have any other memories you want to highlight? Obviously, you talk about being with the caveman. You never know what you're going to get into. Ha- Obviously, he's a rowdy Celtics fan, and you gotta love the energy that the caveman brings. How's the energy? At you said going up to New York and the Garden. What is it like being in that atmosphere?
It's wild, especially going to the Garden in general is crazy because the atmosphere, the fans. But you go in with these super fans like Caveman and GRD and Chicken Head Man, all these guys, all these people are coming up to him. It's like a party almost, dude. It's crazy. It's what makes I Celtics Celtics fans are definitely the best fans. I'll put it that way. They know how to have a good time. I remember going to the playoff game against the Knicks when we won, and they shut down Causeway Street, and that was insane. I've never seen anything like that. That
It,
was a good time.
it's incredible. The Celtics community is just nuts. It's a fun atmosphere, and that's what we're learning from this Celtics fan experience with the fan series. Like it, just these stories. But Seamus, what about you?
Well, you talked about all the different experiences, both on court and off court with the Celtics over time, and there are a lot of favorites that come into mind on court when it comes to players. But Cody, from your perspective, what is your list? What does your list look like of your top five favorite Celtics of all time?
Ooh, top five favorite Celtics of all time. I definitely have to put Isaiah Thomas, Marcus Smart, Jalen Brown. Definitely, he's probably my favorite player right now. Um, love KG. Ooh, the last one's tough. I grew up a Rondo fan, man. I don't know. Rondo might have to be up on that list as well. That might have to be my list. I root for the little guys.
I gotta say, I love every time somebody brings up Rondo. I'm glad to hear the Rondo because in our generation, right, there are a lot of Isaiah Thomas fans. You know, the Tatum and Brown. You know, our age range. There are a lot
Yeah,
of people that don't always remember the Big Three era, or even before the Big Three era. And I always love people giving out the perspective of Rondo being one's favorite Celtic or one of their favorite Celtics because in time for me personally, that's where my Celtics fandom started. I know the St. Louis had everybody connects me to Tatum, but where my Celtics fandom started was with Rajon Rondo, and people forget sometimes how popular he actually was. But from a performance perspective, right? We just did top five favorite Celtics of all time. From a performance perspective, who would be your top five Celtics of all time? Just all time greats.
all time grades. Be tough. I'd probably put Paul Pierce up there. I remember growing up watching Paul Pierce, and he had so many clutch moments. Probably put Tatum up there. Oh, this is tough. Pierce, Tatum, definitely. Probably Isaiah because he always performed. He there was when you stepped foot in the court, you knew he was putting up at least 30. Um, oh man, that's tough. I don't know. The last two, I'm not too sure.
Maybe
Mm,
a Bill Russell in there. Would you give a little Bill Russell in there?
Bill Russell, definitely. Yeah, you got to put Larry Bird. There's so many names in the greats in the Celtics organization. List can go on and on.
Totally, totally. I agree. You know, it's hard to construct that because it's like the Celtics, you just go back and it's like it's just great talent all the way through. But I obviously have a question, and I gotta pull this up. I saw
Yeah.
this, and right there is obviously gotta love the Celtics tattoo. I have a Celtics tattoo too, but I see right there the Jalen Brown signature. What
Yup.
was the motivation behind doing that? And I thought about that. I'm going to show my Celtics tattoo again really quick. I was thinking
Okay.
about doing like if I get autographs underneath and having them tattooed there, that would be sick. But I never ended up doing it. And you see players on the move already, so it might have been too late. But what was the motivation behind getting the Jalen Brown signature tattooed on you?
So that Celtics tattoo that I have is actually a inspiration between I met Jalen maybe I want to say 4 or 5 years ago at Johnny Cupcakes, and that was a Johnny Cupcakes and Juice collaboration. So when they won the championship in 2024, I was like, I'm getting a Celtics tattoo, and I took that design and I switched up a little bit with him holding the trophy. And then obviously Jalen Brown's been doing work with the Boston community this year, doing a bunch of pop-up shops. I probably met him 5 times alone this summer. And I was actually in line with Caveman one day and I was like, dude, I don't know what to get Jalen to sign. Like I at this point I might just have him I might have him sign my leg. He goes, bro, that would be sick. You should do it, get it tattooed. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm like, that's a lot. He's like, then thinking about it, I didn't end up doing it the original day. And then the next pop up, I was like, you know what, dude? I think I'm gonna do it. And
So
it was go
yeah.
ahead.
So my question is, that day that you were thinking about it, what did he sign then?
He signed I actually got a signed box.
Oh,
I
got you,
got a
got you.
signed box that day,
Okay.
yeah. And then it was pouring the next day and Jalen, you know us, dude, me and Cave, we usually sleep out for those events to get there early. And then Jalen came up to me and I was like, hey man, what's up? Like, can I get you to sign my leg? He laughed at me. He's like, bro, it's raining now. It's gonna wash off. I'm like, nah, dude, trust me, I'm going tomorrow to get it tattooed. He actually saw my leg twice that day. The first time it came out wicked awful. It came out super bad. So I showed Caveman. I was pissed. He's like, bro, you got to go in the back of the line. He goes, you got to get it signed again. So he went with me. We waited in the back of the line, and I looked at Jalen. And I'm like, dude, like if you don't mind, I just want to get your signature on my leg. Like, I'm just gonna get it tattooed. He's like, you want it signed? I'm like, yeah, if you don't mind. So he signed it right away, and then as soon as he signed it, I looked at it. I'm like, yeah, I got to get this done today. So I hopped in my truck. I drove an hour and a half home, calling tattoo artists. Hey, can you sign? Can you give me a tattoo? Can you give me a tattoo? And then shout out this my boy Arthur. He was able to give me the last minute tattoo. And then I actually got to show Jalen it last weekend. So that was
That's
pretty cool.
incredible. Seamus, do you have any thoughts on the tattoo?
Well, I'm just thinking of the entire logistical process of all this and how it came about. Like when you're going from one place to another, are you like preserving the leg? You're going, oh, I can't sweat on this leg. I
Yes.
can't rub it up against anything, right? Like
What
that's
was
what
it?
I'm thinking about.
Was it with Sharpie?
It was
He
a
must.
Sharpie, yeah. So I was
That
at
looks like a
first
thick tattoo.
so
So was it
that
like one of those thick Sharpies? Like where are we working with here?
it was just a regular gold Sharpie. So I took a picture of it. I sent it to the tattoo artist, and I'm like, yo, this is what I want to get signed. And then by the time I got there, so I got there around 5:30, and he was closing the shop at 6. And he's like, bro, I can do it in 20 minutes. I'm like, dude, that'd be awesome. And then he ended up washing the signature off, putting the paper on it, and then just tattooing right over it.
That's
Wow.
So
incredible. That that
that was cool.
that must
Yeah.
have been a cool moment. And I do want to ask too, because we talk about a lot about these meet and greets with Jaylen Brown. And do you want to give a perspective of how he is in person? We've heard a lot of great things, haven't we, Seamus, about Jaylen Brown and like personal stories with Jaylen Brown. But do you have one that you wanted to mention?
Just from these pop-ups alone, I'd say that Jaylen Brown is a really, really humble person. Like he'll take his time. He greets every single fan. He'll shake everybody's hand. I remember one event he was supposed to be there for an hour, and he was there for 6 hours. And I overheard him say, "I'm not leaving until I see every single person that's waiting in line to see me right now." And I remember the first time I met him at Johnny Cupcakes. I feel like every time Jaylen Brown does a meet and greet, it's pouring every single time. Like I met him at Johnny Cupcakes, it was pouring. I remember going up to him like, "Hey man, like what's like nice to meet you." He's like, "I really want to thank you for waiting outside in the rain just to meet me." He goes, "It means a lot to me." I'm like, "What?" Like it's he's a really good dude. Like he'll take his time, he'll get to know you and just have a laugh, sign whatever you want. Like I highly recommend trying to go to a Jaylen Brown pop up.
Well, I wanted to show this too, what Andrew got for me. He brought two of
Okay.
these pictures, and Andrew got one signed for me. So shout out to Andrew.
Shout out,
That's
hell yeah.
actually a picture that Andrew took as well. But Seamus, what about you?
Well, I gotta say the Jaylen Brown stories we've heard so far today, just today alone, we can't trade this man. I'm
No,
sorry.
never.
Oh,
We can't.
He's
and,
locked
We
in.
absolutely cannot. And no
well,
matter what value comes out, what value comes from the rest of the league, these stories about Jaylen Brown are absolutely incredible.
He's doing some great work for Boston.
I've never really heard stories like this before about players. I mean, you hear all the cliches out there, like, oh, this player's nice and whatnot, but the details of the pop-up shops and what Jaylen Brown says and his actions, what his actions show, the personality of Jaylen Brown is unbelievable for the player, the star he is, the status of where he is in Boston and the NBA. Let's face it, it's unbelievable how, and you mentioned the word humble. It's unbelievable how humble Jaylen Brown actually is, and these stories are just absolutely, utterly incredible. I gotta say.
and may I add on to that too? And we were here with Boston B Money, and he's like, yeah, you can't give him up. He's in the schools with everyone, da da da. But it's the stories we're hearing too. Like, yeah, we were like when we came on here, we're like, all right, yeah, he is in the schools, but what value can you get? But it's the fact that he's a person, that it's more than a player, and the impact that he's doing on the community, and you look back to the very greats that we talked about in Bill Russell, Larry Bird. It's like, what impact do they have and can sprinkle on the city, rather than obviously every player, like we talked about with Jason Tatum, donations. Yeah, he has charities, but Jaylen Brown, he loves the fans. He loves being in this city, and he embodies himself into the city. And I feel like that's what we've learned for Jaylen Brown. But my question is too. Obviously, we've talked about it a lot on this fan series. Is what is so special about being at the Garden? Obviously, we know the loud noise, the thundering when you enter that garden. For me, the music pounding where you can't even function. What is your favorite part about TD Garden and the fan base?
I think just being there and being with the fans. I like to get there early. Sometimes I go there right after work, just hang out outside of the garden with the crowd and just getting in. And we can be down by 10 points and the crowd's still screaming, "Let's go Celtics!" until we make that comeback. We don't give up. We love our team no matter who's on the team or for winning or losing. And I think that's awesome. Most fan bases give up on their teams, give up on their players, and I feel like Boston fans get a bad rep, and I feel like some of them do deserve it, but I feel like majority of us, we it's just I feel like it's not fair, and I feel like the crowd in the TD Garden is just unbelievable. I actually went to my first road game, which was in Brooklyn, and it's like night and day compared. Honestly, I feel like 97% of the people there were Celtics fans, which is crazy.
That is insane.
Which is crazy, yeah.
Yeah, well, Seamus, you wanted to add on to that?
Well, no, of course. I mean, every time we see the away crowd of the Celtics, some notable places like
Incredible.
Denver, Orlando, Brooklyn. There are quite a few Celtics fans at those locations. However, the Celtics next season, the last two seasons, the Celtics, quite a popular team. And let's
Yep.
face it, I mean, they're just a popular brand in general, but when they're actually good, they're even more popular. However, next season, the Celtics project to potentially take a step back. But Cody, from your perspective, what are the expectations from your perspective on what the Celtics can achieve next season?
I still think they can. I still think they can do good in the East. A lot of teams in the East actually got pretty good today, so that kind of does scare me. But I don't think we'll be top two, maybe top four, top five. I can see us do. I do see a big season coming in from Jalen Brown and some of our bench guys. A lot of guys have to step up to be where we were, or just a playoff team, really. But I don't know, man. It's tough because I don't know what to expect. I don't know what our team's gonna look like in a couple months or even a week from now. So we're still waiting on a few players to see where they go. We just lost Luke Cornett, waiting on Al Horford, seeing if we can get some more trades in. But I do think if our guys play like they're supposed to, we can still be a good team. We still have a lot of good players on this team.
And what are your thoughts on the recent acquisitions of Anthony Simons and George Niang for Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis? A particular fan of those moves, or are you looking at those moves going,
I'm
does that move the needle for the Celtics?
not a huge Niang fan. Not a huge Niang fan. Haven't watched too many Simons highlights. I know he's a pretty decent player. Not very good defensively, so we did take a huge hit there, losing Drew and gaining him. But I like to tell people Brad Stevens hasn't failed us yet. So if he might have seen something that we haven't seen yet, like he did with Derek White and other players that he brought in. And I don't think he's done yet. I still believe there's gonna be a big move coming in. Like we need some big men. So I do feel like he's still trying to cook something up, trying to get a big man to come in, especially if
No,
you lose Al Horford.
oh yeah, totally. And the Celtics are very thin on big man depth right now. Obviously, as again we see the departure of Luke Cornett, so it's rough too. And you look at that, and it's like he was a locker room guy, and as we transition Seamus out of here, but he was a locker room guy, and this is one guy who his time in Boston was great. And if you don't mind, Cody, just turning your camera the other way for us, that would be perfect. Sorry about that. Yeah, but he was a locker room guy again, and oh, I guess let's try to do it again.
Yeah, Luke Cornett, him leaving, it's gonna be huge. I'm happy for him. He's finally getting that bag. I know he got what was it like $40 million or something. Super
Yeah.
happy for him. Feel like he's gonna be a huge hit on this team. I feel like he was a huge presence not only on the court but also in the locker room. Feel like a lot of guys on the team just love Luke for who he was as a person, and obviously he came up clutch for us in many games with defensively, offensively. Losing him is gonna be huge for this team.
Yeah, totally. You already talked about it too, the lack of center depth with the Boston Celtics, but you also mentioned something too that I kind of sticks out. Doesn't matter what team the Celtics had, and I said this earlier. I was frustrated because I'm like, who's gonna want to come and watch George? Sorry, we found out from Daniel that it's George, not Georges. George
Okay.
Niang. Who's going to want to come watch George Niang be our starting power forward? Not a lot of people, but you said something that's true to being with the Celtics community. It doesn't matter who's on the floor. We go for the color of the jersey and we go for
Yep.
Celtics. No matter who's on the court, we're going to support. And do you agree with that? Like, what's that kind
I
of look like?
do. Real Celtics fans will be there no matter who's on the team. I remember going to games where we had Chris Humphries and Gerald Wallace. You know what I mean? And it's like the TD
Yeah,
Garden was still packed. I mean, granted, ticket prices were probably way cheaper, but real Celtics fans will be there, and they know that. So
totally. Totally. And I think the only thing that separates it is the ticket prices are so high. I would totally next year, no matter what the team looks like, I'm going to go to a Celtics game. But if we're talking outrageously large ticket prices again, I'm going to be like, oh, well,
maybe I'll
you
go
know,
to a watch party or something.
exactly, exactly. Well, what are the vibes like at the watch parties? We've talked about that a lot too. If you wanted to kind of give a rundown about one of those watch parties.
They're awesome, man. They're a good time. I like that you can just be in a room with a bunch of crazy Celtics fans all watching the game together. I mean, it's not like being at the Garden, but it's pretty damn close. It's gonna be the I don't know. It's almost like being at the Garden, to be honest with you. You just got a bunch of people screaming for your team and just a bunch of good vibes all the way around.
It,
Meet a
it
bunch of new
totally is.
friends.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've watched a lot of clips from the watch parties, and those are a lot of fun. And I want to ask you, we talk about how dreading it is going into this season. Obviously, not gonna going from the number 2 seed before number 1 seed, obviously winning banner 18. Now going into a season where it's questionable. Yeah, can we retool and build up this team? Yes, but it's gonna be a long road to that. Not a long road, maybe a little short road, but where were you when the Celtics won Banner 18, and how was that experience for you?
I was actually in my living room when they won Banner 18. I wasn't anywhere crazy. Of course, I do construction, so I had to be up at 4 in the morning, leave my house at 4:30. So I was like, you know what? As much as I would love to be in Boston right now, I think I'm just gonna chill out at home, and that's probably another thing I regret is I wish I
No,
was in Boston for that.
but
But
that's the way, and we could still call ourselves true Celtics fans from watching it at home because I watched it, actually at a little party we had. We had a little party, but it was still at home. It wasn't in
you know,
Boston. Obviously, I was like, oh well, watching it in Boston or in person would be so much fun, but can't beat a little couch too. You can't beat the little
I
couch.
also have now I have way more friends that are Celtics fans than I did before. Like most of my friends are Knicks fans, so during the playoffs it gets a little hectic between
Moment.
us. But
Yeah.
now I can actually excuse me go out and watch games with so many people. I've made so many friends in the last 6 months. And it's been great. Just every weekend we're doing something, and it. I was a little upset when we got knocked out of the playoffs. I'm like, damn, I'm not gonna see some of these people for a while until next season. But luckily, this off season's been busy, and I've been able to keep up with a lot of people, and it's been great.
So would you say you mentioning that too, being like when the season ends, it's like, oh, I won't see a lot of these people. Is that kind of like a sad part for you too? Meaning like how much the Celtics fan base is more so a family than rather than just obviously, some time that you just go to the garden. Oh yeah, it's allowed in there. It's a family, as you wanted to
Yeah,
say.
for sure. It was definitely upsetting at first, but luckily, like I've been able to keep in touch with a lot of people, and I want to shout out obviously Caveman, my boy Tyler and Mike. We've been hanging out every weekend working on the 741 stuff and just going to these events and just seeing everybody showing up. It's been awesome. It's been great. So, like you said, Celtics fans, we're like a family, and it's awesome. We got each other's back.
Oh, totally. And you said that greatly right there. And would you say the relationships that you build in the Celtics community are lifelong friends? And it's like, it's just not, yeah, you guys share the similar interests with the Celtics, but it's a family again.
It is. It is for sure. You
And,
you
oh,
go
continue.
ahead.
Sorry about
No, I was saying you. it's cool because you get to meet a lot of different people and you get to learn about like different cultures and a bunch of stuff, man. And it's cool. You get to make a lot of cool friends, and it's been great. It's been great. I love it.
Totally, totally. And one thing I love about the Celtics community too is obviously we have that one common. We all bleed green. And that's the thing that really sparks us together. And it's like, all right,
You
we
know,
become friends on a deeper side. But obviously the product that, and Seamus already mentioned it earlier and asked you the question, and you kind of gave us maybe a 4 or 5 seed, potentially, maybe a little more, maybe the ceiling might be a little, maybe a 3 seed, but obviously not going to be one of the top seasons for the Celtics. But what are you expecting out of this season? What do you, obviously, again, Jason Tatum going down from that Achilles tear, and you talk about that and everything. What can you see that the Celtics do in correct steps to developing this team to compete when Jason Tatum comes back? What can you see from this year? I see it as a developmental year.
I do, but I see next man up. Everybody's gonna step up, and I feel like I actually told Jalen Brown this last weekend. I told him he's gonna have a big season this year. He's gonna kill it. He's gonna have one of the. I still don't think he's reached his peak. Like I don't think he's, and I think this is gonna be the year where he can actually prove himself, and and everyone else on this team is gonna feed off that energy from the top of the list all the way to down to guys in the G League. I feel like they're all gonna step up, and it's gonna. I feel like we can have another one of those years where it's like the Isaiah Thomas Celtics, where we weren't expected to do anything, but somehow here we are. We're still fighting every game and somehow maybe make the Eastern Conference Finals. You never know. You never know in the NBA.
It's going to be incredible this season. I tell you what, and Jalen Brown is going to be one of those members that is going to step up for the Boston Celtics. Well, you already mentioned, you got the Jalen Brown tattoo. You see Jalen Brown a lot and talk to him on a personal level. Would you say Jalen Brown is your favorite player currently on the team, or is there someone else?
Currently on the Celtics, yeah, he would be my favorite player. Yeah,
Who would you say all-time favorite Celtic is, though?
all-time favorite Celtic. I might have to say Marcus Smart.
Okay,
I
why is that connection with Marcus Smart?
I ever since he joined the team, I just loved his how he played. He had that KG in him. He had that dog in him. I love that he bled green. He was the definition of a Celtic. And growing up, like I caught the end of Paul Pierce's career, so I mean I couldn't really watch his career. And then I got to see Marcus Smart grow from a rookie to where he is today. And I just loved how he played. I'm actually wearing his jersey right now. I love
Incredible.
Marcus Smart. So, oh yeah.
And what was your reaction when Marcus Smart ended up getting traded for Porzingis, but that being a move, winning the championship? But what
I
was
was
your
heartbroken. No, I was heartbroken. That was tough. I was at work when that happened. I got the Bleacher Report, and I'm like, damn, bro, this he really got traded. I deep down inside, I had a feeling that it might have had to happen the way that the team was going. Like we were just that one piece away, and I kind of figured that Smart might be in the way of that. And it sucks, as we all love Marcus Smart as Celtics fans,
totally?
but there was a few games where we're like, uh, it was tough. Hopefully we get to see him back in green one day.
I agree. I feel like, when Marcus Smart's career is set and over with, he might be one of those players that signs that 1-day contract, actually retiring a Celtic.
Yeah.
Or I hope to see him actually playing with the Celtics again. I don't know your thoughts along that. Do you think you could possibly see a return for Marcus Smart?
I
How would
do.
that go about?
Now that Drew's gone and we don't have that defensive guard, I feel like it would be if he came back on a cheaper contract now that he's getting older. And I just don't know where the direction of this team's going. It's tough for me to like think about the future right now. But I would love to see Marcus Smart back in green, and I feel like he could still help this team win. I just he has that defense. He can shoot the three ball. It just sucks seeing them get hit with all these injuries as of late. Can't
And,
seem to
and
stay healthy.
Yeah, totally. And I'm gonna say this: I feel like when he was with the Celtics, he loved the organization so much. Even if he was hurt, he was like, "Am I really hurt? No, I can still go out there and
I can still
compete."
go out and play. Yeah, I was
Ex-
at the game where his first game in the Garden when he was on the Grizzlies. He actually didn't play that game, but they still did the tribute video and everything, and that place was loud. That
How
place
was
was
if you wanted to tell us about that
It was
experience,
emotional for sure. Marcus was emotional. You can tell the fans were emotional. Everyone's wearing their 36 jerseys. I can't remember if we won that game. I think you know what? I think we did win that game because the Grizzlies had like five active players or something like that. They had their whole team was injured. But that was definitely I went to that game and then I went to Paul Pierce's last game as a Celtics too, and I'd probably compare the two because I feel like Celtics fans love them both equally.
that's incredible. And I wanted to say again, Cody, you are really what it is to be a Celtic fan right here. And thank you again so much for joining. We really appreciate it. Now we are joined by known as Lili. How's it going today? How are you doing on this? I'm going to say a little sad evening for Celtics fans, obviously, with the departure of Luke Cornett and obviously, the Porzingis trade and Holiday. Obviously, we don't want to get started with this, but how are you feeling right now? Obviously, Seamus and I had that talk earlier about it. It's rough, but what are your thoughts right now with all this news?
I mean, it's definitely tough. I feel like at the end of the season, we knew change was coming. We knew it was going to happen with all the luxury taxes and this and that and the third. Like, we knew it was coming.
We did. And
yeah,
it's the rough part. It's the rough part. But Seamus and I, if you know the drill, we're gonna go through, ask you some questions. So obviously, I see all the Celtics gear back there, and you're a diehard Celtics fan. So
yeah.
I want to ask with the first question: when did your Celtics fandom begin?
So I'm gonna say honestly, I've always been a overall basketball fan. It definitely, I'm gonna say, when I actually first met Antoine Walker. He actually came to my school when I was in middle school.
Oh no way! You want
Yeah.
to say that story, kind of what happened and all that? I'd love to hear this.
Yeah. So I was like the straight A student in middle school. I ended up becoming the ambassador for my school. I went to the Edwards Middle School in Charlestown, and teachers came up. They were like, "Hey, listen, we got a special guest coming. He was coming in with Menino, and do you want to play the part of welcoming him in and showing him the school?" And I was like, "Sure." I've always been like this really shy, like not outspoken person. But I was like, you know what? All right, it sounds cool. So let me do it. So they bring me to the office. I'm sitting in the office waiting. Here comes Mayor Menino. And then lo and behold, here's Antoine Walker walking in. And I was like, dude, wait a minute. Like, you guys didn't say I was going to be a Celtics player. So now I'm hyped. I played basketball from middle school. I followed the Celtics. You know what I mean? My uncles and everything, they were huge basketball fans. So he walked in, and I'm like starstruck, kind of. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm showing him around the school. He's asking me if I play basketball. I'm telling him the whole drill. Like, yeah, we play basketball. We're not that great, like, but we play. And he gave me the advice to just, don't listen to anybody. Always follow your gut. Always follow your dreams. Like, don't let anybody steer you wrong. And I kind of stuck with me. He was super chill. Like, it was cool.
So would you say from that moment on, where did it begin? Did you just start watching more Celtics games? How did it go from there?
So like I said, always watch basketball. Like, it wasn't just the Celtics. I've always watched games, like I play pickup games outside. I was always very active in like the basketball community. So, we grew up in the era where we was outside. So most of the games I would miss because I was outside until the street lights came on, and and then really, really picked up 2008, 2007, 2008. We had the big three. It was like, you know what I mean? Miami had their big three. We had our big three. It was a good look for our team. So it was great. But I really, really picked up on it. We got Rajon Rondo. That wholeheartedly was like my favorite basketball player to join. I loved him. Like, I loved his style of play. I loved everything, So that's really where it picked up.
Wow, so I gotta say I share the same liking for Rajon Rondo, one of my favorite players. I gotta say in Celtics history. But you've witnessed a lot of Celtics history, looking back at your past. But through all the history we've seen, especially as of late, what is your
Yeah.
favorite memory of the Celtics on court? Whether it's a game or a moment, a play within a game, or just a game in general. What is your favorite Celtics memory?
Hmm. I'm gonna say my favorite memory was I was actually pregnant with my son. The radio station was giving out tickets to go see Miami and the Celtics in the playoffs. I can't remember specifically, but I know it was a playoff game. And at the time, I was a Dwayne Wade diehard. Loved him. So I won the tickets. I ended up going. They gave us like a whole kind of like a VIP treatment. So it was super cool. I think that genuinely goes down as like one of my favorites, like favorite moments to this date, actually.
Is it
Minus the championships. Championships are always great. Those always top everything. But yeah.
That's the most common answer is the championship. But is
Oh
it a
yeah.
little hard liking Dwayne Wade, D Wade? Is it a little hard liking him from a Celtics fan perspective? I gotta
Yes.
say I respect D Wade, but I understand. Even the while he was playing with the Heat, and then afterwards the whole beef
Yeah.
with Paul Pierce on social media. Is it a little hard for you?
Yeah, definitely a conflict for sure, for sure. When I tell my friends, like, I actually have a picture of him dunking like on my wall over there. It's genuinely like how are you? And I'm like, listen, all right, like I get it. But I know it's just I'm an overall diehard Celtics fan, 100%. But I also love the game. You know what I mean? So like,
Totally.
you know,
Eh,
I I love it. So like, yeah, I have some takes on it. Some people don't agree with, but yeah.
Well, I'm gonna say even from our perspective here at Celtics Nation Rise and Celtics Talk Weekly, I'm personally a diehard Celtics fan. Like I got a Celtics tattoo. I'm one of those fans that gets so upset when we lose, So I feel that. But at the same time, you gotta respect what's going on in the NBA because you gotta respect your fellow competitors. But
Right.
exactly. So this brings me to my next question, though. Obviously, Seamus asked you the question on what's your favorite memory on court, but what's your favorite memory off court? What's your favorite memory? Obviously, you said, with Anton Walker, but you're very in depth into the Celtics community. I went to your page and I saw you're in a lot of the pictures with the whole
Yeah.
fan base when they go out, have those meetups. What's your favorite memory about that? And like, what's it like? Because me personally, and Seamus doesn't like when I ask these questions of how does it feel, but I personally want to know what is it like to even be in that, community when you guys are out there taking those pictures and having fun, because I've yet to be in one of those pictures. I know it's
Oh,
like,
man.
geez, I'm up here in Maine and I gotta get with it. I gotta get a new car or something. I gotta invest my money
You gotta
into
take the
those.
commuter rail. It drops you off right here.
Yeah, I know it's a little pricey though, but
Yeah.
I gotta get on board with it. But what's your favorite memory off court, and how is that community? With those pictures, and how is it like? When you guys take it, are you guys chanting "Let's go Boston" before, or how is that environment? I gotta hear about that too.
So I recently actually just really got into the community aspect of it. Actually last season, like since a kid, I've always gone to like the garden, and like the environment it's always been crazy. You know what I mean? Actually being a part of the crowd now, my best memory is actually bringing my son. Um, he's 14. He plays basketball, but like I feel like having him bringing him to these like the 741 pop-ups.
Yeah.
He's not old enough to go to the watch parties with us, so he doesn't get to join those pictures. But that really is like the cherry on top. Seeing him smile, seeing him cheer with Caveman, and you know what I mean? Like he thinks Caveman's like the coolest dude walking, So it's like seeing that, getting pictures with Green Runs Deep, all of that, that really is like the great thing. But actually this weekend is my close second, going where JB gave away the Canopy Lake tickets, and actually just running around my neighborhood and telling like the inner city kids, like, hey, listen, I know you're not doing anything tomorrow. Come down to, Canal Street, get your tickets, and you know what I mean? Get that experience. And then lo and behold, JB actually did a surprise visit on the kids this past weekend. So genuinely, I think it's just seeing the youth really
Totally.
get to bask in that, where like it's not really, it's rare, that athletes are walking the street and making pop-ups like every other weekend now. You know what I mean? I think that
It seemed like it's been every other weekend. I know I'm trying to get myself to this Sunday to go meet Jaylen Brown actually, but yeah, I agree. And I want to pull this up really quick too. Is you with Jaylen Brown, and you could finish your take. I know I cut you off. Sorry about that,
no.
but after too, I want to hear your experience meeting Jaylen Brown. But finish your take on the fact that Jaylen Brown, is a superstar in Boston and an all-star player, and he's just there walking on the streets in Boston. But
Right.
yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah, I think that just, it sums it up. I really just think, the dude just came out of surgery. He should be resting. He should be relaxing. He should be, doing all the things that his doctors are probably telling him to do, but he's probably not. You know what I mean? I think that really just holds like the top place. It's just seeing the kids. You know what I mean? We have 2 superstars on our team. And one of them is coming out and really investing themselves in the community. And I think that part is like huge. I don't think I mean, I know like the news talks about it, it's posted about on pages, but like I don't think the recognition is as big as it should be.
Oh, 100%. And we had people come on here, like Boston B Money came on here and was saying how Jaylen Brown's in the schools and he's doing impactful things in the community. And I'm going to pull this back up, you and Jaylen Brown once again. Obviously, how is he from a perspective? Have you had a couple conversations with him? If you want to share those, obviously, he seems very down to earth, and that's why I would love to meet Jaylen Brown. He, just the fact that he goes out there, like you said, again, he's a superstar. He's well known in Boston, and he's out there in the streets of Boston where you're not going to those, meet and greets where you're paying top dollar for tickets, where you're not going to the game and waiting out there, Jaylen Brown. No, he's like, hey, come here, buy something from my pop-up shop, and then we can meet. So like, how is that? And that's incredible that he does that. But if you wanted to just add on too about how those conversations are and how he is in person.
Yeah. So I've actually been to the 3 pop-ups that he's done. So like the first one was kind of quick. He was in and out. It was right before the game started. He came and picked up his sneakers. So it was like, ran in and out. It was crazy, right? The second one, my son was with me and I brought my mom and my dad. Right. So he comes, he goes into the pop-up. He's sitting there, we're waiting, we go in. So the second pop-up actually was the first 100 people that came got his sneakers for free. I mean, not the first 100, the first 10. First 10 people in line. Yeah. Awesome. So the first 10 people in line got their sneakers. That's actually where I really started having conversations with Caveman and like all of those like diehard fans, you know what I mean? And we was just talking. He came, he spent maybe 20 minutes talking to my son about like basketball, you know what I mean? Like my son plays middle school basketball, but he's going into high school. Like he gave him some advice for over the summer, what he should do to really like capitalize if basketball is the way he wants to go, you know what I mean? But also had a conversation with him and told him like it's okay to be a straight A student and a basketball player. Like really gave him advice. Like I don't know, it was really motivational, I guess. Like totally. My son really walked away from it and like it's a core memory, you know what I mean? Like he got to meet him and have a conversation with him. This third time he went in. The kids went first, grabbed their tickets, and then he came out and he was talking to us. And when I say like most humble, most like chill, relaxed dude, like you wouldn't think like he's our top superstar on the team. You know, he came up, he was like, hey, what's up? He was like, what's up, twin? We got to take a picture. He was like, no, we're not taking one of those normal pictures. We got to take another picture. He took a bunch of pictures with me. It was cool. Like, you know, and it's just like, I don't know, like, it's really just surreal, I guess is the word that I put it, you know?
And I have to say, too, just adding on to this, it's not like other players. You know, obviously the other ones, you know, you have set times that they're allowed to be there, so they can't really have that relationship with the fans. But, you know, the fact that he's going out of his day and it's like, hey, he'll have a sit-down conversation for 20 minutes is, like, incredible. Obviously, like, not force it so much, but it's the fact that he's still willing to, and he wants to be into the Celtics community and kind of get really acclimated with that, because this year, let's face it, he's going to be the face to watch of the Celtics. He is the face of the Celtics this year. And
absolutely.
And him connecting with the fans is a great start to it.
Absolutely. Like
Jason
even
Tatum isn't doing that.
Yeah, even to the point, and don't get me wrong, I love JT. You know what I mean? But even to the point where like when the kids are waiting, and I'm assuming like either like the bodyguard or the publicist for 741 is calling him and it's like, hey, there's kids out here. Like he's sending his people to Halftime Pizza to grab pizzas and he's feeding the kids in the line. You know what I mean? Or like the second visit, he was only supposed to be there for an hour. He ended up being there for about 3. So that way every single person could get in and have a conversation with him, take a picture. You know what I mean? And I feel like it's personable. You could like really walk away and be like you said, the meet and greets where it's set time. You know what I mean?
You take a picture and you go. You take a picture, maybe a signature, and you go. It's not like, or you know, like when I met Porzingis, it was, hey, how's it going? A little fist bump picture. Thank you guys. Boom, out of it. You know, it's like it's quick. With Jaylen Brown, personal. It's personal. You get to know it.
He's signing everything. If a person had like literally every person in that line is walking away with an autograph from him, or like, you know, you're walking away with like a personal story from him. Like you can't say that about other players.
Like how I said too. Like I love Jason Tatum, favorite player, as you see him in the back. But Jason Tatum, I love Jason Tatum. No disrespect towards him, but Jason Tatum isn't going to do that. I feel like, you know, Seamus, would you say maybe Derek White would do that? Maybe.
Well, it depends. We've seen him out in the past before.
Yeah,
right? Especially during the championship season and that run, they were out in the community a lot. Now, the end of this past season, when the end of the season, they were 14-2, so everything was going well. But the playoffs, a little rough, right? Need to lock in a little bit more. So maybe a couple less appearances out in the public for those guys. But I would say Derek White's a little more involved in the community than Jason Tatum from showing his face in a public setting standpoint. Now, when you want to talk about money thrown around Boston, of course, we know Jason Tatum's just been throwing out that dime as well.
Right.
And I feel like this too, like there's a difference. Now, I'm not saying that Jaylen Brown isn't known, because he's a superstar in Boston. He's well known. But if Jason Tatum, like you see, like if there's 10 Celtics jerseys, 8 out of the 10, maybe 7 out of the 10 is going to be Jason Tatum jerseys. It's just what it is. So if Jason Tatum went there, it's just going to be like bombarded. It's not even just because but Jaylen Brown is right there too, though. They're neck and neck. And it's the fact that Jaylen Brown is still willing to go out in the community, even though he might get bombarded. He's going to spend 3 hours there, and he's going to spend extra time, and it's going to be more of a life story rather than oh yeah, like with me and Porzingis. Oh yeah, I met Porzingis. That's cool. It was a little quick picture. More so, hey, I sat down and talked to Jaylen Brown, and he talked to my kid and said, hey, look, he gave me life advice. Like that's a story that your kid's going to be telling their kids. You know, it's going to just keep going and going and going. That's going to be a generational story. And
let's add 2 out of the 3 times was on a Saturday that it rained because we know Boston loves its rain on a Saturday.
Totally. I tell you what, I'm up in Maine, and the Sea Dogs games, whew, because I work there, it's like, geez, can we even have a game? It's like,
Right.
come on.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. But Seamus, go ahead. More questions from you too.
Well, we talk about the favorites, right? We're talking about a specific favorite in Jaylen Brown right now. But from a top 5 perspective, Lili, all time, who is your favorite Celtics starting 5 all time? So we'll do a top 5 favorite Celtics and a top 5 best Celtics of all time. So what are your 2 lineups in those senses?
Oh man. All right. So I have to add top 5. You said top 5 favorite?
We'll do top 5 favorite first. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll change it.
Top 5 favorite. Absolutely, Rajon Rondo. Let me see. Top 5 favorite. Rondo. We have to add JT and JV up there just for good measures. Huh. Are you trying to tell me to add somebody to my favorite? Who? You want me to add Larry Bird? Okay, we can add Larry Bird. You guys got me right now.
Jeez,
Rondo, JT, JV, Larry Bird. We'll add Pierce up there for that one.
All right. Now, what are your favorites now? Wait, that was favorites. All right.
Favorites.
So what's the all-time best, would you say? All-time best, like from the book.
All-time best. All right. So I have to have Allen on there. We're gonna do Ray Allen. I'm gonna add JT on that one too.
Okay.
I'm stuck. I don't know.
You gotta add Larry Bird back in there. You gotta add Larry Bird.
I know. Larry, he's looking at me like, you better add him again. We'll add Bird. Man, I really loved him. If he didn't get injured so much and wasn't out, but I have to add Porzingis. I feel like that was like, I had such high hopes for that one. And then best, that's 4. I'm definitely stuck on the 5th one.
Are you gonna go Rondo again? Are you gonna add him back?
We can go Rondo again.
Yeah, totally. Well, just adding on to Seamus's question though, who would you say is your favorite Celtic player of all time then? Like, if you had to pick one, it could be current or of all time. Who's your favorite Celtics player? Well, let's start off with all time and then favorite. All time favorite Celtics player and then
all time favorite. I'm gonna go Pierce. Honestly, I loved like the energy and just like that attitude that he brought to the team. Yeah, I genuinely loved that. Favorite is Rondo. I base most of like how I play my game right now around how Rondo was. Like, I genuinely, he definitely goes down as like my top.
Who's your favorite, if you had to say, on the team right now?
Favorite on the team? JT.
All right, sorry, Lil malfunction on my end. Who's your favorite current player?
Yeah, I'm going with JT right now. Current favorite, definitely JT off the team.
You got to. You have to. JT's a GOAT, but
yeah, I like.
Yeah, no, totally. But my question too is, obviously, again, I'm gonna say this. It's been rough. Obviously, you already mentioned it at the beginning. It's been a rough summer, and it's a summer where it's going to be kind of a little dreading year. But I want to ask you to go back to some fun stuff. If you want to say your experience with the championship, like where you were and how was the championship for you? Like, what was the experience like? and if you wanted to say your story on
So
the
yeah, so championship home. I was not home. I was at halftime pizza.
God,
So it's been our ritual when we go into the playoffs. My son, my girlfriend, my mom, and dad, we all go to halftime pizza. And we just go crazy with the fans. It gets packed. It's super hot, but it's like I wouldn't trade it, you know. So yeah, we was actually inside halftime pizza. I'll never forget. They were counting down. Cops came inside. They were like, "Hey, listen, you're not going to be able to cross the street to go across. You're going to have to go all the way around to come." Like, I live in Charlestown. I'm across the bridge. I'm like literally a 10-minute walk to the Garden. Took me about a half hour to get back to where I live. Streets flooded. Like, my son got to experience it, seeing people climb trees, climb street lights. You know, I told him we don't condone it. Like, don't ever let me hear you went out and did it. But this is what it's like to be in a city that wins championships. Like, you know, 2008, that was my last championship. I remember the feeling of being, you know what I mean, just running around crazy. He got to experience it. Like, craziness. It was just madness, honestly. I love it. I love the chaos after a win.
especially after a big win like that. That must
Oh,
have been
absolutely.
And did you go to the parade?
I did. We went right in front of the Garden. I don't know. It was great. It was amazing. I probably should have went a little bit earlier than I did, but still got to catch them, still got to see everybody, and you know, he gets to experience. That's really like the reason why I do this. Like, I just want my son to be able to be like, my mom did that. You know what I mean? When he gets older and he tells his kids, like, my mom brought me to these things. My mom, you know what I mean? And just have those memories of us.
Totally. And those are the best memories for sure. But Seamus, do you have another question before we get ready to close this?
Well, of course, we see the timeline of the Celtics history right now, leading us to maybe next season not being as competitive as the last two. We're talking about the championship run, but looking forward to next season, Lily, what are your expectations for the Celtics next year?
So I'm not entirely upset with our draft picks. I see a lot of people like, I know, I trust Brad Stevens, right? Like, sometimes we may not understand the choices that he makes, and you know what I mean? But like, I believe in him through and through. I believe that we have the best trainers. I feel like we could, like, you come to our team and you're not the greatest. You're not being spoken about as much. I'll take Luke Cornett, for instance. Last season, that man drove me insane, right? I would scream at my TV almost every game when he would get put in because I felt like he was afraid of the rim. I felt like he was afraid of, you know, taking hits. And then we fast forward to this season, and he's blocking. He's protecting the rim. I feel like we have the pieces that we need to make somebody great, to whether that's building confidence, whether that's the training that they need to get where they need to be. So although, yeah, I don't think this season is going to be like the great hoorah because of, you know, whatever, I do feel like the pieces that we picked up, they will eventually fall into place where we'll be great again. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think we won't be great this season. I'll never bash it, but I feel like we have the necessary pieces to get back to where we were.
Well, saying that, there is some breaking news, and there is a new Celtic to the roster. Breaking news again, recording this, Seamus. I literally said, can we please wait? This is, just for perspective, Lily, this is the third recording that we're live and there's breaking news. So, breaking news via Sham Sharania, free agent forward Josh Minott You know what?
All right, here we go.
All right,
Per
yeah.
Shams Charania, free agent forward Josh Minot has
No.
agreed to a 2-year, $5 million deal with the Boston Celtics. Sources tell ESPN. So free agent forward Josh Minot might be
No.
Minot, Minot
Yeah,
has
Minot,
agreed to a 2-year, $5 million deal with the Boston Celtics. So that will be a minimum deal for Minot. So
All
okay.
right.
Well, what are your thoughts on this trade as it's live? We're definitely gonna have to go record about this in a second too. But do you know much on him? Any
haven't.
insight?
So a lot of the people that like, even the rookies that we picked up, I did a little like, I usually will go and do some research on them, check them out, see how they are, see how they could fall into like a piece of the puzzle for us. So that's most likely what I'll do right after I leave here.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Well, with that being said, I think that's going to do it for the show. Again, thank you so much for joining us, Lili. We love to hear that fan experience and can't wait to see you out in the Celtics community. But with that being said, everyone, that's going to do it for the show. Make sure to like and subscribe and turn on post notifications and comment down below why you want to be a part of this fan series. Again, breaking news is going to be crazy, so make sure to turn on those post notifications to be notified every time we upload. And we will see you guys with the next one. Peace, guys.